For generations, a college degree was pretty much the golden ticket, right? It was this guaranteed path to a good, stable career. But if you're graduating today, well, that promise is starting to feel a little bit broken. So what's really going on here? Let's get into it. So let's start with someone on the front lines of this. This is Michael. He just graduated from Villanova. And on graduation day, he felt exactly what you'd expect. I mean, pure excitement. 4 years of grinding, you finally get that diploma in your hand. You feel like you're ready to take on the world. But that promise of taking your skills to the job market, well, it hit a brick wall and fast. Just a few months after that big celebration, that feeling of excitement turned into something else. The word Michael used to describe his job search: demoralizing. And that stark contrast really captures what so many new grads are feeling right now. So let's dig into Michael's story a little more, because it really paints the picture here. And look, you can't say he wasn't trying. This is not a case of waiting till the last minute. Michael started his job search way back in November of 2024, months before he even put on his cap and gown. He's been applying, as he puts it, anywhere and everywhere. And the result? He's struggling to even get a foot in the door for a first interview. Michael's story is powerful, but he's not an outlier, not even close. Let's zoom out now and look at the bigger picture, because this is about an entire generation. So you have to ask the big question, right? Is Michael just unlucky? Or is this a sign of something much bigger happening in the job market? Well, the numbers don't lie. As of September 2025, the unemployment rate for young workers in the U.S. hit a pretty staggering 10.4%. And this isn't just some random spike. We're talking about a trend that's been climbing for more than 2 years now. I mean, just look at this gap. It is huge. On one hand, you have the overall job market, which is actually pretty solid. But then you look at the numbers for young people, and it's more than double the rate. It is a totally different story for them. They are absolutely struggling disproportionately. And all of this leads to a conclusion from analysts that's, well, honestly, it's pretty sobering. They're saying that for the first time in modern history, that piece of paper, that bachelor's degree, it's just not the guaranteed ticket it used to be. We're talking about a massive, fundamental change in our economy. So why? What is driving this massive shift? Well, a huge part of the answer, as you might have guessed, is artificial intelligence. Okay, so to really get how AI is affecting jobs, you gotta understand this term: AI exposure. Think of it like this. It's just a way of measuring how much of a job's day-to-day tasks could be done by an AI. Pretty simple, right? The higher that exposure score, the more that job is at risk. And when you look at the numbers, whoa. A Stanford study found that since 2022, jobs with high AI exposure have seen a 13% drop in employment for young folks. But here's the kicker. For older, more experienced workers in those same jobs, their numbers are steady. This isn't some robots are coming in the future fantasy. It is happening right now, and it's hitting the youngest workers the hardest. And let's bring it back to Michael for a second. What's so interesting is that he totally gets it. He understands why a company would rather use a cheap AI tool than hire a fresh graduate. It makes business sense. But that doesn't change the fact that for him, a person trying to start a career, well, it's incredibly frustrating. But listen, it is not all about AI. That's a huge piece of the puzzle, for sure. But there are some classic, old-school economic factors at work here, too. It really just boils down to basic supply and demand. We have more and more people graduating with bachelor's degrees every single year. That's the supply, and it's going up. But the demand, the number of jobs that actually require that degree, it's flatlining. So you end up with what economists call a glut, just way too many qualified people fighting for too few spots. Now, this is where the experts start to disagree. They're all looking at the same problem, but they have two very different explanations. On one side, you have people who say, hey, this is just a post-pandemic thing. Companies overhired like crazy, and now they're just correcting. But on the other side, you've got experts saying, nope, that correction already happened. This is something new, this is a permanent structural change driven by tech and AI, and those jobs just aren't coming back. Okay, so the game has clearly changed. The old rules don't apply. So what do you do about it? How do new grads actually navigate this new world? Let's talk about that. And this is where things get really interesting. Because for every door AI closes, it seems to be opening a new one. Get this, job postings that mention AI skills are up 5 times. 5 times since just 2023. That is insane. So companies aren't just cutting jobs, they're looking for a whole new set of skills. So if you're a student or a recent grad,
What's the game plan? It seems to come down to two key things. First, you've got to become fluent in AI. That doesn't mean you have to be a coder, but you need to know how to use these tools to make you better at whatever it is you do. And second, you have to lean into the stuff that AI can't do. Build your network, get real world experience through internships, make those human connections. That's your edge.
And we really need to pay attention to this because the consequences of getting it wrong are huge. We're talking about a whole generation potentially getting left behind. That can lead to bigger income gaps, political instability. It can even slow down the whole economy. This isn't just a problem for 22-year-olds. It's a problem for all of us. But I want to end where we started, with Michael. Because even after everything, this whole demoralizing process, he's still optimistic. He has this belief, that going through this struggle is going to make his generation tougher, more resourceful. It's a pretty powerful way to look at it. And that really leaves us with one massive question, doesn't it? The world of work is changing faster than ever before. So are our schools and universities keeping up? Are they preparing students for the jobs of tomorrow, or are they still stuck teaching them for the jobs of yesterday?